Today we're going to be discussing the time there was a very bad flood in Hey Arnold. Season 3, episode 15, The Flood. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you would like. And without further ado, let's get into this episode. Now this episode kicks off with the gang at school when a really bad storm was forming, as you can see. The bell rings, but Mr. Simmons tells everyone they aren't dismissed yet and orders them back to their seats. Now Mr. Simmons was explaining to everyone the importance of caring for and taking care of each other. And as he's saying this, Helga shoots a spitball at the back of Gerald's head. But yeah, Mr. Simmons had picked the worst possible day to do this mess because we already know that storm is on the way. And also the bus was already loading up to leave. Like, come on, Mr. Simmons. Now he was just saying that he wanted the class to spend an extra 10 minutes inside, but as he's saying this, we hear some terrible news on the intercom. Principal Ward has stated that a flash flood warning was in effect and tells all the children to remain with their teachers while he contacted their parents. Sid says, "You don't think we're gonna be stuck here, do you?" And before Mr. Simmons could answer, we hear Principal Ward also say because of the excessive rain that they were going to be stuck there all night. And as you can imagine, the kids were not happy about this, especially since it was the start of their spring break.
Oh, Principal Ward, yes. Oh, yes, it is a heck of a storm. Reminds me of the Great Flood of 1916.
Now this man Grandpa was rambling a little too much on the phone, so Principal Ward ends up hanging up on him. It looks like they had a bad leak in the house as well. Now after learning that Arnold was stuck at school, this man Oscar asked Grandpa if he could sleep in Arnold's room for the night, claiming his room had a bad leak in it. Bruh. But Grandpa says, "Not even in your wildest dreams, Oscar. I'm going to pick Arnold up from school as soon as I come up with a plan." Now heading back over to PS 118, we see this man Harold was crying like a big baby, saying he was hungry. Yeah, when is this man ever not hungry? Helga says, "Put a sock in it, fat boy. The rest of us can't live off our bulk like you can." I mean, just straight disrespecting my guy Harold. Mr. Simmons says, "Young lady, I'm warning you. What are you gonna do? Make me stay after school? Helga, you're just too dang ornery." This man Stinky was using words even I didn't know. I literally had to go look that shit up. This man Stinky was teaching me stuff. Now Helga had looked at this man and says, "Here's how much I care about what you think," and snaps. Bruh, Helga is annoying as f. I would absolutely hate to get trapped anywhere with her. Now Arnold tells Helga that while everyone is stuck together, it's best to try and get along. And Helga took his advice.
You're right, Arnold. Hey, Stinky, would you like some dessert?
Well, kinda. Bruh, Stinky throws some jello back, but Helga ducks and it hits Curly. These two had started a whole freaking food fight, and this man Mr. Simmons didn't know what to do.
We're back with the wind. 5 more inches of rain will fall before dawn.
Now while all of this craziness was going on, we see Grandpa preparing to go get Arnold when Oscar brings him some hot milk and tells him he should take a rest. Yeah, he clearly had an agenda because anyone that watches this show knows that Oscar is lazy as hell and doesn't do many favors for others. Grandpa says, "Hey, why are you being so nice to me, you lowlife?" This man says,
"Well, I'm moved by this great tragedy. We must all pull together in times like these."
"Yeah, sure, Oscar. You're just still trying to get Arnold's room for the night. You aren't slick, my guy." Telling him to take a nap so he wouldn't go get Arnold from school. This man was just low down. Grandpa saw right through the bullshit. Now as we can see, this flood was getting horrible and the rain wasn't letting up anytime soon. This man Curly had said he hadn't changed his underwear in 5 weeks. Bruh, we definitely know who has swum balls now. And as you can see, Rhonda was just loving this. Yeah, Mr. Simmons says how about a song to lift everyone's spirit, but Helga wasn't trying to hear that mess, So she sneaks out of class, and I don't know how Mr. Simmons didn't see her. He was literally facing that way. Honestly, he probably let her leave because he was just tired of dealing with her attitude. Helga makes her way down the hallway, and we see this man Principal Warts was in good spirits. Helga lets him get inside the classroom, then she tries to make her way out, but we see that they had changed the doors shut, and Mr. Warts also comes back and catches her. "Are you attempting to leave the school grounds without permission?" And she threw a reverse Uno card at this man. "Were you attempting to dance with a flamingo, Principal Warts?"
This moment never happened.
Bruh, she got his there. Now she makes it back to class, and everyone was just going bonkers. Apparently the class snake had gotten out, and just look at how scared Sheena is. Mr. Simmons was telling the class that they didn't have anything to be worried about because it was a friendly snake, but looks like he was wrong. And this man Curly was just losing it. Just look at him. And the rest of the kids were acting crazy as well. These guys were acting like the kids off that movie Lord of the Flies. If you know, you know. And after Mr. Simmons orders them to calm down, they start back talking this man, especially Helga. She says it's your fault we're trapped in here in the first place. And this is when this episode gets insane. Eugene says, "Uh-oh, my shoes are wet. That can't be good." And when he opens the door, everyone gets a huge surprise. Harold didn't get scared saying they were gonna drown. Isn't it funny how he's so tough at times, but he's always the first one to get scared when shit pops off. Hilarious. Now Mr. Simmons tells everyone to head for high ground, and Helga literally told this man to shut up and called him a freaking cream pie. Bro, how is she getting away with talking to my guy like this? He's a whole teacher. Bro, f Helga. Mr. Simmons is such a nice teacher, and he was just trying to keep all the students in good spirits. She didn't have to talk to him like that. Now Mr. Simmons had acknowledged that he was losing control of his class and had felt bad about the kids being trapped there. So he tells Arnold to watch over the class while he finds a way on the roof to signal for help. And man, this flood had gotten even worse. And Grandpa still hadn't left yet because he had fell asleep. And I noticed this little inflatable boat had the Titanic on it. What is this? Some sick joke? And while Grandpa was sleeping, this man Oscar had other plans. He was gonna take the boat and try to make some cash. And his prices were outrageous, as you can see. Just look at his sneaky little face. Good thing Grandpa woke up while this man was trying to take the boat, but they start fighting over it, and this goes horrible for Oscar. He ends up in the water crying, saying, "I can't swim." But of course Grandpa ends up saving him. Yeah, I would have let his ass drown. He was literally trying to steal the boat, knowing Grandpa needed it to go save Arnold. Like, come on, dude. Yeah, but it looks like it was going to be a while before he gets to Arnold's school. So in the meantime, Arnold goes back into class to try and control the other students. Just look at them. They were acting like two tribes trying to take over each other's land or something. Arnold tells everyone to stop, but of course they don't listen. And Helga even throws in a quick insult, calling this man Mr. Simmons Jr. Bruh, this girl. Arnold says, "Man, shut the f up and listen." Mr. Simmons left earlier and he's been gone for a very long time. Man, I swear it sounds like Arnold is going through puberty in this episode. Just listen to his voice.
Mr. Simmons is gone. He's been gone a really long time.
Stinky was like, "Man, I forgot all about Mr. Simmons. Where could he be?" Sid says, "I hope nothing bad happened to Mr. Simmons." And this is when we start hearing this weird singing. And it sounded like it was Mr. Simmons, so they follow the singing, and what they see is crazy. While Mr. Simmons was climbing up the ladder, it had broke, and he was at risk of falling and drowning. And this man Stinky was just out of line. He says, "Man, I always liked Mr. Simmons. I wonder who our new teacher is going to be." Like, bruh, at least try to save this man first, Stinky. But yeah, the kids had came up with a plan to use the school flag so Mr. Simmons could tie it around his waist. And the plan was to reel him in like a fish. But as Helga is trying to get the rope to Mr. Simmons, she can't seem to throw it hard enough. So she tells Stinky to do it. Oh boy, not my guy Stinky. Now this was getting serious because the ladder holding Mr. Simmons was very close to breaking. But Stinky comes through with a clutch throw. He wraps it around his waist, and Arnold tells him to jump as close as he could to the window so they could pull him in. Harold gives him the go, and Arnold counts down.
1, 2, 3.
Mr. Simmons started drifting away, and it seems Harold wasn't strong enough, so everyone else joins in. But Helga ends up falling in trying to get Mr. Simmons up. She lets out a chilling scream. Mr. Simmons was able to grab her and they finally managed to get them both back in. Mr. Simmons was so proud of his class and how they were able to work together through a tough situation. I was also proud. And this is when Oscar and Grandpa finally pull up and everyone was happy they were getting saved. This man Oscar says,
It's only 50 cents for a one-way trip.
yeah, he deserved that. And also at the end of this episode, we see this man Principal Ward's on top of the school just chilling, saying, don't worry about me, I'll just go down with my school. And he just continues singing. Just weird, man. Like, where was this guy while all this crazy shit was just going on? But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and let me know what you think about this episode in the comments down below. And until next time, peace.